Good evening. Welcome to another Friday Night Live. Thank you everybody for coming over and joining us. This is I've been looking forward to this one for a long while, so I'm going to say. I'm bringing the guys. We have Mark, the gentleman woodturner. We have Wayne, the woodturner, and
good evening, everybody.
And Colwin Way. I am so happy to have Colwin on the show. Thank you so much.
Hey, everyone.
The live, shall I say? So I know a lot of you guys in the chat requested to get Colwin, and Colwin thankfully agreed to come on. So I really appreciate it, Colwin. Thank you very much for coming on. You might regret it by the end of the night with all these questions, but I'm sure we'll get on well. So guys, we all know who Colwin is. If you don't know who Colwin is, you should be ashamed of yourself. But if you've got any questions for Colwin, he's happily agreed to answer some questions. He's not going to give out his national insurance number, his bank account details, anything like that, but I'll answer any questions obviously you've got on woodturning. So I'll stick these guys in the background, and we will have a look at what we've got on the lathe tailstock. So I have a piece of elm on. It's got some nice spalting in this edge here, so I'm hopefully we're going to get a bit of pattern on it. So I may try and put a bit of texture in the rim, or the side, sorry, and then give it a nice bright red colour. That's my plan. So I'm going to start getting kitted up to turn this, and someone can let me know who's in the chat.
I'll do a list if you like, because I've got it up.
Yeah, you carry on, Mark.
Right, so far from the participants list, we've got Andy H is for turning, Barry Fisher, Barry Chitty, Barry's Wood Creations, Benjamin, Brent B. Croft, Brian at Hardwood Turning, Christina Michael Heseltine, Dara Coolan, Doug Miller at Woodspun Realm, Douglas Mungham, Eric Winkler, Gerald the French Turner, Hodgepodge Woodworks, Jennifer's Crafted Creations, John Corbett, Kitty 602, Mr. Mike Walt is in the house.
Oh, hello, Mike.
Pat Cumming, Paul Houghton. I know, shows up everywhere he does. Paul Houghton, the Greasby Turner, Peter Corcoran, Peter the Parkwood Turner, Robert Robertson, Robert Dolman, Steve Hale, Steve Scott, Steve Gordon, Terry Bartlett, TJ Turnin, Trevor P. Hobby Turner, Vicky Prowse, Ivy Woodshed, Wood Wizardry by Colin, and Wood Turning by Barry. Blimey. Sorry if I missed anybody out. Blame you two.
Good evening, everybody.
Loads of names I recognise. Can I go straight in with a question and answer one of the questions, please?
Go ahead.
Yep.
So we've had a question there asking how long have I been turning, and let me find the question and who asked the question. So they're from Douglas. Colin, how long have you been turning and how did you get started? Well, I've been turning since I was 13. So how old am I now? 51 now. So that'll tell you. So 30 odd years, 35, 36 years.
38 years.
And
I do like that you had to actually think how old you was.
I was. Well, it's been a difficult year, Steve. It's been a difficult year. I started as an apprentice. Before that was a work experience placement of 3 weeks, and I luckily done that at a production wood turning workshop. I then became a hobby turner, loved it so much, and then went on to be an apprentice at that same place that I'd done my work experience. So that was a 5-year apprenticeship. Then self-employment as a self-employed wood turner, and then 23 years ago for Axminster Tools. So it's pretty much been my life So that's the quick answer.
Blimey.
Excellent.
So you're a proper wood turner then.
A proper wood turner. Done me apprenticeship and in the works. Yeah.
Question
Okay.
is, do you still enjoy it as much now as you did to start with?
If I'm honest, I probably enjoy it a bit more now.
Right.
When I started, it was you get that addiction where you don't really think about anything else, and you go in the workshop at 7 o'clock and realize then it's midnight and the neighbors are knocking on your door. That sort of thing isn't there anymore. I still get the excitement from turning, but what I do now is, because my mind isn't taken up with how to use a particular tool, I can think about other things within turning. What shape are we going to do the next thing? What's new? What else can we do, sort of thing. And also the traveling now is one of my favorite things about wood turning. Get to travel and see different cultures and their turning histories, and just meeting people and having a nice time. So no, it's a great community, the wood turning community.
Definitely.
Colwin, we've had a question from Pete. He's stolen the thunder from Terry from TJ Turning. He says he's curious about your signature forged skew. Is there an Axminster store that he can visit and try one out?
Well, yeah, we need to know where he is, really. I mean, because there's Axminster stores all over in Bristol. Well, the Cardiff one, there's a couple of good turners in the Cardiff store. They can talk you through. Let me know when you're going, because I'll prime them. So yeah, Cardiff store will be the best one. Potentially Nuneaton, you could go to Nuneaton and have a lesson there, maybe. But the thing is, they're all getting set up now for the lathe introduction sort of mini courses, the 2-hour mini courses. And so they'll all been primed as to how to use the skew. And to be honest, the Colwin Way signature skews are easier than regular skews anyway. And I'm sure as the night goes on, I'll be asked why. But they're just a smaller, lighter tool, a little bit more finesse. So you're encouraged to hold them nice and gently. You'll feel the bevel rubbing. I always think if you're gripping a chisel with white knuckles, you're losing your sensation of feel, and so you don't know where the bevel's rubbing and all that sort of stuff. That's what these skews do for you. They give you a feel sensation back. So I would go Cardiff is my first choice, and Nuneaton after that.
Brilliant. There's another one there from Hodgepodge, who is a regular contributor to your Axminster shows.
Absolutely, yeah, I recognise that name.
His name's Robert, and he lives in Texas.
Robert, I thought you'd have run out of questions by now.
He says, "Is there something you haven't turned that you see yourself turning in the future?"
Is there something you haven't turned that? Well, yes. So every turner, or a lot of turners, like to, especially the professional turners that are demonstrating and writing and all that sort of stuff, sort of have their own thing. If you think of like Nick Hagar with his Viking Sunset bow, you think of Phil Irons with the hollow forms, you think of Sally Burnett with a lovely big pot, so all that sort of stuff. So for a long time, I just haven't had one, because a lot of what I'm about is teaching. So you've had to sort of try and master every technique. But when I'm alone in the workshop, my travels have taken me all over the place, but Germany has been one of my favorite, and the Siphon area, so that eastern Germany in the Ore Mountains, they're toy making. So when it comes to things like nutcrackers and German smokers and Christmas pyramids, I've sort of adopted that as my thing and sort of championed it over here in this country. But as a sort of evolution from that, I'm into, sounds really silly, but I'm into making robots and turning. So turning, I mean, if you turn a hand, for instance, in a finger, you've got 5 joints or 5 parts to your finger. So turning each part of that finger, then turning the main hand, all those sorts of things, joining them together with wire. And I've just started doing a series of those, which I want to develop. You will see them in the next fortnight. We're going to get them out on Instagram, and I will be doing a short video on them. And they're also going to be appearing at the Wisdom in Wood exhibition in October in London. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. I've only done a couple, and I want to see how far I can take those.
Brilliant. Sounds great. Next question was, what wood is your favourite, and what is not your favourite, and what wood and shape do you like the most? Wood and shape do you like the most?
Wood and shape I like the most. Well, in terms, I'll do that in reverse order. So shape is the simple shape. So if I'm talking bowls now, a very, very simple curve, not an OG, just a simple plain platter curve. So nothing too intricate, nothing decorated, nothing like that, just nice and basic. Because a lot of the time they are the hardest to get right, but the most pleasing on the eye.
Did you hear that, Steve?
No
decoration, Steve.
Yeah,
No decoration.
noted.
I have been primed. What was the first part of that question? I got carried away in my answer.
What is your favourite wood, and what is
Favourite wood?
not your favourite wood?
There was my favourite woods in terms of how it looks. I'm a massive fan of chestnut. Second, chestnut being my favourite, closely followed by oak, which is normally the other way around for a lot of people. My wife's favourite is yew, so I do a lot of yew turning. But to turn, probably sycamore. Sycamore is just an easy timber to turn. I love it. If it's good, sycamore, not gone too far, as in been down too long or too dry, it's beautiful to work with. So yeah, they're those really.
Wayne's been really lucky recently. He's been getting some really, really good rippled sycamore, haven't you, Wayne?
Nice.
I have, yeah. I've also got a supplier for you as well.
Yeah, we all hate Wayne. This huge supplier.
Yeah, to get big use,
it's all free.
It's rare, isn't it? You know, to get one that's actually coming down.
Yeah, I've actually got three. They're about 20-inch across trunks sitting waiting.
Oh wow! There's a massive yew tree in Axminster Square in the churchyard there, and every time I walk past, I look at it and I think, "Wow, that'll be one day he'll be mine."
I know that tree.
Do you?
Yeah.
Just dead straight.
For a while, I used to run a market stall in.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I know where that is. Mike Walters asked you a question. He says,
"Where are we?"
Hi, Colwin. What are your views regarding colouring versus natural?
All right, Mike. Hello, Mike. Good to see you, mate. Colouring versus natural. It has its place. Colouring definitely has its place. Say, for instance, you're looking at a nutcracker, a German-style nutcracker, or a smoker. To have them natural in just timber, they'd be quite a boring figure. But to have them coloured, and I'm talking, it could be translucent, it could be opaque. It depends on the figure. So smokers generally translucent, transparent dye, where a nutcracker would be highly coloured and hide the timber. They have to be coloured. That's the whole thing about them. But when you've got a beautiful bit of timber that's got a lot of grain about it, that's really, you know, that's the star of the show. However, if you have a plain piece of ash, but you've got within that plain piece of ash, you've got lots of so the annual ring show up lots of grain, and then to pick that grain out with a colour or a wax, embellishing wax, that sort of thing. Again, I think that works in the right form. Has to be the right form. So I think plain doesn't always work. A nice bit of timber, yes, but their dyes and stains and paints definitely have their place, I believe.
Colwin, did you know that Mike has recently become an internationally renowned colourist?
I've missed something now, so you're going to have to explain what's happened with Mike.
He spent the morning with Ed Oliver, and Ed taught him how to colour a bowl.
Oh, really? Have you finished wiping it off your face then, Mike? I watched a very entertaining demonstration from Ed not that long ago, actually, where he was using hot melt glue. and spinning it up on the lathe. That I'd never forget that one, because I think he covered his computer, the workshop himself in hot melt glue. Yeah, I was really entertained by that one. Not for the project, but the mess he got himself in.
Just going back up.
Mike actually bought a set of Hampshire Sheen intrinsic colours when they first came out a few years ago. And he went to open one the other day and they'd evaporated.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's how often he. No, that was a joke, but that's how often he colours.
Jennifer's Crafted Creations has asked, what's your favourite tool and your least favourite tool?
I think
actually,
Mark, do you want to answer my favourite tool for me?
I would probably guess it's going to be the Colwin Way signature skew.
Well done.
That's 5.
I never mentioned it though. Least favourite tool, what would that be? Oh, I want to say a scraper, but I'm not going to, because they're really important. I would, I am going to go scraper, but I'm not going to go regular. I'm going to go carbide tip scrapers. Hate them with a passion.
Controversial.
I'm not going to say what I was going to say. No, yeah, carbide tip scrapers. I don't like them.
Okay. What about the worst wood?
The worst?
The worst. What's your least favourite wood?
The answer I want to give, I've actually forgotten its name. It was I'm going to drop a name. I'm going to drop some names now. So I was demonstrating at the AAW in Raleigh a couple of years ago, and there I asked for a wet timber that I could demonstrate rough turning with before we went on and finished a bowl. And they gave me a timber. Oh, what was it? What would it be like? It would be like turning, if you imagine a very, very soft and rotten Iroko, that was the most abrasive timber that you could ever think to turn. So you know what plywood is like to turn?
Yeah.
So basically you leave your grinder running because it takes the edge off. It was like that, but I didn't have a grinder and I was in front of a lot of people demonstrating. So it was that the finish was awful. It tore really badly. And it was one of their avenue trees, and I can't remember what it was, but that would be the one, which is not a great answer because I can't remember its name. But if we're talking something in this country, so in the UK, I would probably, it's difficult to say really, because there's nothing that I don't like.
Lime, probably my least favourite.
Which?
Lime.
Lime, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit boring. Yeah, probably. I turned a bit of monkey puzzle yesterday on the Woodworking Wisdom, and it's beautifully looking. But we had a question from Frederick. Remember, he's saying that he turned a bit and he couldn't finish it very well. It kept tearing, and I didn't really understand what he meant until I actually started turning that bowl. And there's a few areas on it that the tears seem to go in forever. To the point where I actually never finished it. I finished the back, but never finished the front. And so, monkey puzzle's probably not my top, not the top of my favoured list. I'll be honest.
It tends to be turned end grain rather than side grain, though. Monkey puzzle, doesn't it?
Well, I was turning this side grain, so you had the usual spots, those opposite spots, that were staying. Outside was fine because that was an easier one, but yeah.
I think this is a great question. John Foster, you need to be proud of yourself. What tool needs to be invented? Great question. What tool needs to be invented? I was going to start.
Maybe a tool that would put wood back on?
Cool. That's the one, isn't it?
There was one that I did. I was down at the big garden festival in Cumbria a few years ago, and there was a wood turner there from South Cumbria, I believe. And I was having a chat with him, and he said the tool that he wanted to have was a directional laser cutter. So you could just cut straight, stick the laser on, point it in the direction, and just do the cut without any hands on.
That would be good. Benjamin's asked, Ben, we didn't warn you about Ben, did we?
Yeah.
Right. Ben can sometimes be a bit of a card. So Ben has asked, is it true that the Colwin Way signature skew is made from Valerian steel and dragon glass? So could in theory be used to kill White Walkers?
Absolutely is. I've experienced that myself. It's Devon that I'm living, remember.
Meanwhile, Steve's turned the bottom of his bowl.
I've just got a couple of cracks that I'm going to fill.
Right, I don't think there's any more. Oh yeah, there's one. What do you think of Jason's skew?
Jason's skew is very good, but it's very different to mine. So Jason, and I'm going to answer this seriously. I know the question probably wasn't serious, but I'm going to answer it seriously. See, Jason's skew and other tools are made for box making, so they're very different from what my skews would be, and a conventional skew almost. Jason's skew chisel is convex on one side, concave on the other, so used for planing, but also for refining, and unhandled as well. So if you were to ask me which one I would have, I would honestly say I would buy one and then save up for the other, because they're both good for different reasons and different projects as well. How diplomatic was that an answer?
Yes.
I think we're all caught up with questions at the moment.
Good stuff. What was that timber, Steve, that you were turning?
Well, it said when I bought it, it said elm on it, but it's a bit pucky in places. It's not the best piece. We'll fill it and see what happens.
Sorry to everybody that's joined the chat, and I haven't read out their names, but we're sort of concentrating on the guest tonight.
It's very strange. I find it very strange.
Hodgepodge was asking about the Axminster vendor stand at the AAW that's coming up. Is it the AAW?
Oh yes. So that AAW this
weekend. Are there any discounts or codes or special offers or?
Do you know what if I'm honest, I don't know, because we're not there as a dealer. We are there as Axminster Woodturning. So our dealer is actually a Woodturning store. So I know Woodturning store always has deals going on, but they're in New York, and they supply America with all of our products. So go on to Woodturning store in New York, and you'll see what deals they have. Whether it works in your favor, because I'm guessing you're in the UK, maybe. I'm guessing
Hodgepodge is in Texas.
Oh well, there you go. Perfect. Yes, in that case, go on a Woodturning store, and they will have deals. Sorry, I'm being asked if I want a beer. Can I have a beer? Yes, please. Thank you. Yeah. So Woodturning store in New York.
Douglas Mungham's asking, Colwin, is there any piece that you wish you had not turned? Wow.
There's some good questions coming in.
There is
in 38 years, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of pieces, but there is a piece that I wish I not wish I hadn't turned. Wish I'd turned it better. Well, there's lots that I wish I turned better, but there's one piece that sticks in my mind. It was the best bit of Claro walnut. To make it even more important to me, it had come from Krafts Supplies USA and was picked out personally by Dale Nish, given to my boss at the time, who was Bernie Stiles, and Bernie had handed it to me to say, can you turn me something nice out of it? So it's got some some gravitas, this bowl blank, and I turned it too thin. It was about 2 foot across. It was a glorious dark chocolate brown with swirls and bits of purple in it, and I turned it too thin, made it too shiny, and it looked like a bit of plastic.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So yeah, not good, that one. And I've never forgotten it, and that was probably about 16, 17 years ago.
Oh.
Ben's asking, what's the plan for the Woodworking Wisdom lives going forwards? will you continue to do them? Brackets, they're awesome. I've got to say they are, actually.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I
No, well,
always
yeah.
watch.
Yeah, no, we're continuing. We're not stopping. We're in fact all the chat is about how we can improve them. Technology is going to be our first port of call. We're having a lot of work done at the moment in the actual building, so we're going to be going away from the lives for about a week, and then we're investing in proper video cameras, proper production, all that sort of thing, so they will be improved.
Dara Cullen says just ordered the SK114 and the O'Donnell jaws.
Excellent. You're not going to be unhappy with those. My personal favorites are the 38s, OD112s they used to be, but yeah, no, they're great. They're great. The SK114s is all I use.
Got those, and we went.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask, our Axminster, do you know if they are ever going to put the indexing rings back onto the 114s?
That's right. Because I'm not doing a woodworking wisdom, I can be honest. No, I didn't mean that. I'll take that back. I can be frank. No, I don't think so. The reason that they were taken off is because at the time we didn't have a proper indexing arm to utilize them. I had my own ideas how we could do, but we didn't. So it was rather than put the price up, they said, well, what can we take off of it to keep it the same price? That was one. It was another operation in machining that they took off, which meant we could save a few pennies, which meant we didn't have to put the price up. So when you see things come off, that's generally the reason. It's if we have no support for it, we'll take it off and save a few pennies.
I've got 3 SK114s and I love them. They're absolute beasts.
Yeah.
Wayne made his own.
No. I made the jig for it. When it was set up, I bought one of the first 114s, and it actually came with the indexing ring.
Yeah.
Somebody's asked. Let me just go back up. All right. Yeah. Is there a piece that this was from Rob CP Woodturner? Is there a piece that Colwin is most proud of turning?
Most proud of turning. I'm really happy with. I'd done a Christmas pyramid 2 years ago, and that was bought and it's been put into the Danielle collection. And that for me, that was a 3-tier pyramid. It involved a massive amount of parts, and just the culmination of all that coming together, I was really chuffed with. My first robot that I've done in recent weeks, I'm really chuffed with, and that's a robot probably made up of about 50 parts, and he's going rusty, and he's got an oil can in one hand, and he's oiling his elbow in another. It's just the whole theme is just nice. And that's just playing with Chromacraft products, so the Rustinas and stuff like that. And I wanted to get away from Nick Agar's bowls, that sort of thing, and do something a bit different. And that was what I'd done, and I was really pleased at the way that come out. So I think those two really.
Good question here from Eric as well. Another opportunity for you to name drop. Who has mentored or helped you the best in your earlier years to help you become who you are today as a woodturner?
I'm going to have to say 2 people. So the first one would be Jeffrey Manley, and not many people would know Jeff Manley, but Jeff was the guy that I'd done my apprenticeship under. A fantastic woodturner. He learned under all the greats. But when I started with him, we were turning all sorts of things, including at that time, unforgivable nowadays, but at that time we were turning ivory. We were turning woolly mammoth ivory from the North Sea, dredged out the North Sea. We were turning bone, horn, antler, and Whitby jet, jade, amber. All of those sorts of things. We were inlaying bobbins with sapphires, with rubies, garnets, all those sorts of things as well. So we were doing an awful lot of alternative materials. At that time, our ivory were from piano keys. The mammoth ivory, like I say, was dredged out the North Sea, and we got it from all over the place. And so he was the one that gave me the most tuition, and I learned the most from in terms of basic turning. But in the past 20 years, then it's going to be Nick and Jimmy. Nick Agar and Jimmy Clues, I grew up with turning, and they were on the scene the same time as me. We're all of similar ages, and obviously they've gone off to the States, but I spend more time probably with Nick than I do any other turner. I'm on the phone to him at least 3 hours a week, and we're just swapping stories, having a laugh. Yeah, and he's taught me more about the politics, the way things work in other countries in terms of turning, I mean, and just generally how to go about myself, how to go about life and be nice.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, so those two people really.
Brilliant. Folks, you are firing a lot of questions through. If I do miss one, I do apologise, but I am trying to keep the ones that I haven't asked highlighted for Colwin. John Corbett asks, good question again. He's currently got an SK100. Would an SK114 be too heavy for the AT350?
No, AT350 is absolutely fine. You've also got that T38, so the 33 mil thread on it, so the belt's fine. Your tool rest post is adequate to take the stuff that you're going to put on it. Absolutely no problem at all.
Brian asked, did Colwin bring any pieces in for us to see? No, we didn't. They're on the shelf behind him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got some on the shelf behind me, but that's about it.
TJ Terry has asked, how long does it take you to turn a robot?
So the last one, the one oiling himself, was around about, let's put all the pieces together, so I would have said about a day's worth of work, a good day, so sort of a proper old day's worth of work, so about 8 to 9 hours.
Right. Douglas Mungham's asked, Colwin, have you ever turned a giant piece?
So the biggest bowl I've turned was 7.5 feet. No, that was turned back in 2001, sorry. And that was a collaboration, though. That was myself and Jason. That was it was a laminated bowl. We had to use European tulip, and we glued it together with West Systems epoxy, and we turned that. It was on a program called the workshop that John built on early days of Sky, and we also had it turning at one of the Axminster early shows at Shepton Mallet, and we're again on TV there with it. But yeah, 7.5 feet, 240 kilos.
That's
a bit of a beast.
The size of the I think Bert Marsh did one about that size as well. At one of the turning shows.
Oh, that's right, on the Highlander lathe. Yeah, him and Stuart Mortimer. The ours never counted for any records at all because it was a laminated piece and not one piece.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately. It was scary. It was scary. Turned at 47 revs, where there was one guy came in and turned the speed up to 100 revs, and I thought the lathe was going to literally take off. But yeah, that was a scary piece to turn initially, and then, like anything, you lose your fear for right or for wrong, and you just to sort of get on with the job. But yeah, that was a piece. That was a bit. We still use that in the skill centre now as a table. So when we have done courses, everybody sits around the round table and has their lunch.
Brilliant. Seth from Brickhouse Craftworks asks, where do you draw most of your inspiration, e.g. nature, industrial, art, etc.?
I'd like to say the popular answer and say nature and all that sort of thing that's around me, all those sorts of things. But I get inspiration from other people. I've already mentioned people like Nick. You can't help but be around someone like that and get inspired. But every other turner, and it doesn't have to be a professional turner, it can be just someone that I'm watching, like Steve here, for instance. You just take a cut. You take a cut, you see a lovely bit of timber, you get a shape from what you're watching, and you just want to go and recreate that. The robots that I'm talking about have come from that. Like I say, that's a bit of an evolution from what I saw in Germany, going from their historical turnings, and it was just a culmination of just trying to do something different. And I saw, I can't remember what movie I was watching, but it was a color that I saw, and it was a yellow. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool as a robot? And then I put that together with an image just from my mind. And I thought, yes. Because then I thought I saw this hand and all the individual parts in a hand, I could turn those. And from there, it's sort of bit by bit, the thing sort of came to life in my mind before I started turning. And you know what it's like when you've turned something that's been in your head and it actually works in real life. You've made it, and you sit back and smile and think, right, that's inspired me to do a few more of those. I'm gonna take this and run with it, sort of thing. So yeah, it's other turners is the answer to that one. Other people.
Eric Winkler asks, Colwin, have you ever had time to mentor anyone you see great potential in?
Up until now, I haven't, because my life has been all about teaching people. So for Axminster, it's been non-stop teaching. When I haven't been at Axminster, it's been making. So I've been in my own workshop making. Now traveling's taking over. So all of that has been, it's sort of miniature mentoring, really, because you're teaching someone for a microsecond. A couple of days or even 5 days is not a long time in a turner's life. There are a few people not immediately close, and again, during the past sort of couple of years, that's made things difficult in terms of mentoring. I'd like to, absolutely, I'd like to go, and like I was given the chance, give someone of a younger age some hints, tips, financial help, even.
That's you out, Mark.
Hey,
younger age, that's you out.
And Wayne, sorry.
Well, do you know what?
We're both out.
Do you know what? When I was starting out with Jeffrey, it was month worth of wage to be able to afford the first chuck. So to be able to help someone out with a silly little thing like a chuck would be amazing, and but to get that right person, and a youngster. Yeah, but I mean, a youngster where they don't have disposable cash, and if they are interested in turning, as opposed to going out and getting drunk and girls or boys or whatever, I'd like to be able to help in that way, as well as teaching.
I can see it now, the Colwin Way Bursary Award.
But yeah, no, so I'd like to, but no one immediately springs to mind at the moment.
Okay. Rob CP's asking, what would you say is the most unusual piece you have made? Probably from what you've said, it's probably going to be a robot, isn't it?
It probably would be the robot. Yeah, I've made some. Well, a couple of things that I can't mention on here, but I've also made some interesting bits of jewellery. One lady came to me and said, "Can I have a pair of earrings in the form of 2 Marmite jars, please?" Which I done. Yeah, ebony and boxwood.
Blimey.
Yeah,
I love it a lot then, haven't you? Do you collect turnings? This is from JPN Company. Do you collect turnings? And if so, who would you like to have a piece from that you don't have at the moment?
Okay, yeah, I do collect turnings. I've got quite a few pieces, actually. I've got Bert Marsh, I've got Phil, I've got... yeah, Mark. I've got Phil.
Wayne, not me. I'm pointing at Wayne.
Oh, no, I've got lots. I've got I'm thinking of names now. Bert Marsh, Stuart Mortimer, Phil Irons, Nick Agard, Jason Breach, Mike Mahoney, Michael Oslink, a French turner. What's his name? Can't remember. French turner. One that I haven't got and I would love to own. No. I'll tell you in a minute. The one that I would like, and it's getting harder, and I don't know whether I'm in the right pay grade for, would be Ben Poe, and some of his pierced work. But
definitely.
It's go for literally thousands and thousands of pounds, double figure thousands as well. We're not talking single figures.
Are you thinking not Olivier Gomez?
No.
The segmented stuff that he does is just unbelievable.
Bin Po. So if you look, if you haven't
look up Bin Po, Mark. If you haven't heard of him, you need to see his work.
It's beautiful, absolutely stunning. He's done a couple of collaborations. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately. He passed away a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
He's done a couple of collaborations with Cynthia Gibson. Some of his recent ones. Before he passed were with Cynthia, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. Now he was a refugee from Vietnam, and a lot of his pieces depict his life and all the troubles in Vietnam back in the day. So it's amazing. It's almost like the old Japanese porcelain and the pictures that they used to put on that. Incredible stuff, incredible work.
People, if you have the opportunity, go on Google. I'll put the name in. Check this guy out. Because the images are just stunning.
Beautiful work. I mean, we're now talking, like I say, highly collectible.
There. Right. Where did we get to? No, I think we're up to date on the questions. Yay!
Oh, hang on. I've got a couple here. I'm guessing it's for any of us, I guess. Question: do you think you can ever be too old to learn to turn? No.
No.
Never.
Definitely not.
Never. Yeah. And then, what's the longest time you have spent on one piece? Probably. I want to say a couple of days.
Well, as a group, we started turning quite a big piece last February. That was at Glyn Senior's place, guy from Yorkshire Grit, and that was a 3 foot by 12-inch piece of ash on his VB, and we got it rough turned, and it's still sat there waiting for us to go back and finish. So that's a fairly long time.
Mike Walt has made a fair point. He says he has to say Steve's bowl is evolving magically. Looking great, Steve.
Thanks, Mike. So glad you're here, Mike.
And Rob's asking for you, Colwin, have you ever turned a trembleur or Chinese balls?
No, quick answer. If I'm going to be honest with you, that Chinese balls and things like that, a massive amount of work in them, but I wouldn't get any fun from them. Do you know what I mean by that? That's not putting it down in any way.
He does, because Rob CB's recently turned a massively impressive trembleur.
Right.
And he is a relative beginner.
Been turning, he's
about
only
18
been,
months?
he started turning last May. Not May gone. A year past May. He started turning a year past May, but actually the lathe frightened him, so he didn't do anything for a few months. He's only been turning for a year.
He's got the AC 370.
Wow.
And he did a trembleur. A month or so ago?
About a month ago, yeah.
About a month ago. Very impressive.
Wow. Yeah.
Ruby Claire's in. Hi, Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
John Foster's asked. Oh, I can see he's starting to blush already. How are you and the guys on the Axminster Wood Wisdom coping with your fame that you've now got?
There's my answer. Oh dear. Dear.
That'll be that then.
Yeah.
Colwin, what do you think of the Japanese turners and what they turn?
Great. No, actually, I'm friends on Facebook with a couple, and I don't know what their names are because it's in Japanese. But what impresses me more about the Japanese turning, I'm quite a fan of hook tools, and the open hook tools, and watching Japanese turners in particular, because I know hook tools, especially the ring type hook tools, are quite widely used in Scandinavia. But their open form hook tools on really big pieces, it's just a joy to watch. You know, when you see something happening, they used to have back in the day when TV had just 3 channels, an intermission, and when it turned off at night. They used to have like these in the intermission where watching someone use a potter's wheel, and it was just captivating. And watching them use those hook tools is exactly the same thing. I find myself just staring. It's just incredible. So no, absolutely fantastic.
Jared the French turner is saying, is the French turner Colwin was looking for Benoit Affley?
Oh, not Benoit, no.
Benoit.
Yeah, Benoit. No, it's not Benoit. I'll drop a name again. No, Benoit is a good friend of mine, and we've done a lot on, or spent a lot of time together on a couple of the cruises, the Norwegian cruises. Benoit, I love his stuff. I watched him turn one of his spatula forms whilst I was on the cruise, which was cool. He's becoming better known now for hotel sculptures, wall sculptures, centerpieces in hotel foyers, that sort of stuff. So massive, great big pieces. Really fantastic artistic turner. I will remember the name in his. Is it really famous?
No, it's not.
It's not Jean-Paul. No, I'll tell you, someone will tell me now, really well known for his roses and sort of sea forms.
It's not Jean-Paul Gaultier either.
Jean-Paul Gaultier. No. Alan Maitland.
Oh, yeah.
Maitland. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a rose that I brought back from France from my wife. And I've got one of his sea sculptures or turnings.
Jewish Chefs asked, how do you come up with ideas?
How do I come up with ideas? A lot of suggestions by viewers. A lot of inspiration by from other turners. YouTube is fantastic. Pinterest is fantastic.
Yeah,
but yeah, Pinterest mainly suggestions. Yeah, and watching other people.
Because Ruby Claire, she goes and trains with a lot of the French turners.
Right.
Yes. Also the English ones as well.
Yeah.
Down at Escalon School down in Puy-Saint-Martin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely. It's a lovely part of the world.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm still here. I'm just listening.
How do you feel about the crack that's near that recess then, Steve? You're confident?
Well, this one here, yeah, I'm confident. I'm always confident, Colwin.
Looking good. But do you still think it's elm?
I ain't got a clue, mate. If you ask these guys, I buy wood with a name on it and it's totally different. They tell me something totally different, so I give up even saying what it is now.
Gerard's
asking, do you know Pat Carroll and what do you think of his work?
Yeah, do know Pat Carroll very well. I'm doing a collaboration with him and I see my brain for whatever reason's gone. Richard Finlay. So me, Richard, and Pat are doing an article together in Woodturning magazine that will be coming out in, I think, about 2 months' time, on different ways to solve the same problem. And what we've been asked to do is just come up with a I'm not going to tell you what the problem is, but we just come up with a different solution to the same thing. And I'm finding this quite interesting, actually, because we are very, very different in the way we sort things out. Me as a production turner, and Richard obviously as a production turner, but then Pat coming from more of a gallery background, which is it's an interesting one. It's a fun one as well, and I'm hoping that they carry on that series, because I think certainly the person that reads, the person that gets the magazine will learn a lot from that.
2 things. Ruby says in 2 weeks she'll be with Alan again.
Fantastic.
Benjamin asks a really important question. How important is having a lathe that goes in reverse?
It's as important as cruise control. Some people use it all the time. Some have never touched the button. For me, I'd have never touched it.
Oh, you've just made Steve's night, because he's the only one out of about the most of the group of us who do lives who hasn't got reverse on his lathe.
Oh, I get the question now.
It's a fact that we do remind him of regularly.
Well, not regularly, every single live.
Oh, that's regularly.
Jennifer's saying I'm very quiet.
Just enjoying the conversation. Hodgepodge is asking you, Steve, how thick do you plan to leave the base on this bowl?
About 4 inches.
Steve has a reputation for funnels.
So the answer to Colwyn's
Just
question
saying.
is that crack is just split on the tenon.
Oh,
On the mortars.
On the mortise
Mortise.
even. Yeah. So,
Yeah, he did once, Terry, so far. That's when I said drink.
well, I think we might have just knocked it out. See if we can get it to hold.
you do know now, Steve, that all the questions are going to dry up because we're going to be watching you now.
Oh, you... all the pressure, all the pressure.
Barry from Real
Well,
Simple Things. Oh, go on, Wayne, go on.
No,
You do it.
no, Grant. You start.
No. Barry says, it's only because you want me to get in trouble. Barry says, Steve, why is there a knot in your logo?
I don't know, Barry. Why is there a knot in my logo? Oops.
Oh, Colwin, he hasn't got a clue what these are. These are the in jokes. Steve's logo, if you can see it down there on the side of his
Yeah.
lathe,
Yeah.
it's got a double knot in the bottom.
All right.
And it's just been a long-running question that he won't answer.
Well, the answer is I don't know. It's just a generical logo that I found on the internet that I put my SK Krafts in the middle of it. That's all. There's nothing, no meaning to it, no nothing.
Terry saying put a tenon on it, Steve.
Yeah, might be.
Douglas Mungham is asking, Colin, would you prefer reduction turning? Would you like to do gallery pieces?
So there was a time where I used to favour production turning because I like the discipline. I like the fact that you were constantly trying to improve, beat your time, and a little battle against yourself. It also, at the time I was building my business up, was good money. Until you have a name, gallery pieces don't really mean much. Unfortunately, people don't want to, they're looking for a name almost as much as the piece. So in terms of what I enjoy doing the one-offs because I don't have to copy anything. I'm free. I can do what I want. But if I'm making a living, when I started out, the production stuff were my wage. They were my bread and butter.
Were you like Stuart Batty? Were you piecework or were you flat rate kind of thing?
I literally by the hour. So if I could get a better price by turning quicker, then I'd probably win the job. As long as the quality was still there. So I used to try and turn as many staircase spindles as I could in that hour, and that meant I would cheat a lot. And cheating would be using the roughing gouge from start to finish rather than finishing up with a skew, and going to a 60 grit abrasive rather than starting at 100. No one's watching. doesn't matter, you know. So that would be my way around it, and it worked really well.
Yeah,
worked really well. Now I'm teaching, I don't have to worry about thinking about speed anymore. Well, I do. At the moment, we do woodworking wisdom. We're confined to an hour, because that's what our marketing guys want. So I have to turn a project within an hour, and that can be a bowl 2 foot wide. It can be a pen. You know, it all has to be done within that hour time scale. So some things don't get finished, but most of the time we finish it. You know, it's within the hour, and just turn very, very quickly. So I'm constantly reminding people, I'm rushing this. You take your time, because your worst enemy, if you're just beginning, is rushing something and having an accident. You know.
Yeah.
You're talking to the wrong person there. Look at his smile. Wayne the Woodturner, we have to slow him down.
Yeah. They keep on getting people in the audience to ask questions to slow me down.
I said this morning, that bowl he did today, he'd done the outside, finished in, it was at 10 minutes 38 seconds, but he talked for 2 minutes before he started turning. I looked up from the chat, I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Slow down.
We got another 2 hours to go.
All my lives never last 2 hours.
No, it's about an hour. Hour and 10 at the most.
Even if I'm doing something big on the VB, they still tend to only last about an hour and a half.
Right. Yeah. 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 No, I find the really long ones. If you're since lockdown started, so since we finished doing the whole days demonstration for clubs and things like that, we've gone into IRD, so the interactive remote demos, and 3 hours is enough. When you're demonstrating on video, 2 to 3 projects in 3 hours non-stop, it's mentally draining, because you're constantly answering questions, of course. You're keeping yourself safe, and you're reminding people of safety, and you're concentrating on looking in the camera, not at the TV screen. All those sorts of things, and 3 hours is a long time to do an evening session. So I absolutely get you there. It's really testing, and not only that, 3 hours for someone at home watching is tough. After work, you've just had your dinner, you're falling asleep. It's difficult.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Good. No, I was just with the bowl.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That's not the best grab in the world, but we'll see what happens.
Good recovery.
Right, Rob CP just put in, I'm confined to 8 hours on my lives, and I need every minute of
it. Rob does do long lives. Yes, that's true. Douglas Mungham's asked, Colwin, do you like turning hollow forms?
I do like turning hollow forms. They're not my favourite thing, but yeah, I enjoy them. I prefer wet timbers over dry all the time. I've mentioned this before, but I've just beginning of last year, my local trout fishery, which I can see as I look out the window from where I am now, they a rippled ash tree come down. So I've taken that and I've turned a lot of that into hollow forms and big 2-foot platters as well. So I've enjoyed doing that. Now some of that is being coloured. Going back to our earlier question, because the ripples is just jumping out when you add a little splash of colour. It does make a massive difference. A lot of that ash tree was white as white could be. So to enhance those ripples with a bit of colour is, it's really worked. Phil Irons-esque, I would say.
Mike Walters said he's just realised that rushing is not your friend, and that's after 10 years. Good one, Mike.
Absolutely agree.
Eric Winkler says, Colwin, I thank you for the things I've learned on your videos, but I have this family here, Steve, Mark, Wayne, and a few others, but I thank you all so much. No problem, Eric.
No
that's
problem.
Really good.
It's the good thing about wood turning. It's the good thing about what we do, and certainly what's happened in the past couple of years, how it's brought the communities together, and it is like a little family, if I'm honest, because you've got somewhere regular to go and regular faces. It's comforting.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've only been doing it 2.5 years. It changed my life.
Yeah.
Literally, and literally saved it as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Found us.
Hey, what was that?
Nothing, Mark. Nothing.
Yeah, I'll watch it back. Robert's asking, as a demonstrator myself, I find the lack of having an audience in front due to lockdowns hard. Do you find the same thing?
No, absolutely. When you've got a live audience in front of you, even if some of them in the front row tend to fall asleep after lunch, it's the interaction that you can see on people's face, the understanding, the fear, the surprise sometimes when you get a catch, all those sorts of things are really it's sort of, I don't know, it helps the demo go when you're demonstrating. When it's, for me in my workshop, I have either my wife or one of my sons doing the camera work, doing the switcher, all those sorts of things. So I'm just looking at them. They can't hear what anybody's saying because I've got my ears on, so I can hear people live. So we have no interaction. I can't see the faces of the people that are asking the question. I can only see my face looking back at me through my monitor. And it's weird. Sometimes if you get a particularly quiet club, you want to say, is there anybody there still? Is anybody asking questions? Have I lost feed or anything like that? So it can be a little bit disconcerting at times. So yeah, I much prefer the live thing. It does make a big difference. And I just like meeting people,
So if they're asleep in the front row, do you change the angle of your couch and hit them with the shavings? Wake them up.
I'm not that mean.
You can't now because they've all got screens in front of the lathes now.
Of course.
Eric says he's been doing it for a year now and he's still not been able to use Yorkshire grit. He can't get it.
He can't get it. Where is he?
Or he hasn't
Where
got
is
it.
Eric?
Eric's in Tennessee, isn't he?
Get in touch with Woodworld of Texas. They stock it. And also the Walnut Log. They stock it as well.
Steve Mattinson. Hi, Steve.
Sorry?
Good dude.
Oh, sorry.
Steve Mattinson.
What are you talking to
Good
me?
dude. Yeah, Eric's in Tennessee.
Bowl is almost there.
Almost.
He's hollowed that out fairly quickly.
Mike Walton said, Colwin was one of my inspirations. He did a terrible job in my view.
Oh, you wait till your next demonstration, Mike.
Rob CP is asking, do you worry about unqualified turners on YouTube, as some have unsafe practices?
I don't worry about it. No, absolutely not. No, it's look, it's the thing. YouTube is there. It's open. There's no point in worrying about it. It depends, I guess, on whether they're sort of promoting unsafe practices. That would be a different thing altogether. And I think they become known fairly quickly. I think most people certainly people that I've seen, help promote the craft or the art, however you want to call it. So no, I'm not worried at all. I mean, people aren't silly. They'll soon recognise unsafe practices. They know what they like, they know what they don't, sort of thing. So no, not at all.
Steve, question for you. If you hollow out down to that crack, will it be a new way of making a funnel?
I'm not making a funnel this year, I told you that. Well,
oh, really? Well, you have, because you made a sink last week.
Well, yeah, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Was it intentional?
Yeah, intentional. And it was actually harder going through the bottom of
that.
Brian at Woodturning says, why has everybody gone quiet just as Steve gets to the bottom? If you don't know, Colwin, last year Steve had the unfortunate pleasure of turning 2 funnels 2 weeks running.
Consistency.
It's that moment, isn't it? You sort of you don't want to look away from what you've just done, and you don't want to be the first person to speak either, because you don't really know what to say. Well,
I know what to say, but I was on a live. I couldn't say it.
Yes.
All I'll say is that happens to everyone.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks in a trot.
Yeah. Not funnels, but catches. On Wednesday night, I got, what was it, 2-3 catches in a row, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to stop for a very quiet 10 seconds.
With a spindle gouge, wasn't it?
Just to calm down a bit.
The spindle gouge, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you never get a catch and then never go through the bottom, you're not trying hard enough, eh?
Well, to be honest, I think everybody in the chat went quiet as well, because we were all like going, what's happening? Is he having a stroke or something? Because Wayne the Woodturner's just had 2 or 3 catches. Is somebody throwing something at him, or what's going on? Hodgepodge says, Steve, remember there's a 10 in now, so you can go thinner.
Oh, Rob was just put on. I was warned at one demonstration that a couple of blokes would fall asleep after lunch. When they went to sleep, we packed up quietly and left.
He says he wound the clocks forward 4 hours, and the president woke him up. The look on their faces was priceless, and I've been told they've never fallen asleep again.
Oh, I'd love to have seen that one.
That's just evil.
Funny though.
That is funny. I agree.
So you're leaving the inside natural then?
Yes, I am. I might put a bit of gill cream on. I'm not sure yet. No, I'm going to leave it natural. I made the executive decision.
I also noticed you went without texturing.
Yeah, I changed my mind. That's not that good a bit of wood, to be honest. I honestly think that's, if I was to texture it, that would have just torn it apart.
In fact, I think I missed Colwin's live demo at our club the last time he was up here. That was at the Border Woodturners, Colwin.
Oh, right. Yeah. That was
probably a couple of years ago.
That was a couple of years ago. That was in the middle of what I refer to as a northern tour.
Yeah.
Northern for me.
Clive Williams is asking, I always seem to be left with a slight convex mound at the bottom of the bowls. Are your bowls flat at the bottom? If so, what am I not doing right?
Is that to me or Steve?
I think it's to Steve, but to anybody in these, that or you two.
If you get
I'll leave it, because I get that as well.
I was just working it down, isn't it?
I always... He's talking about the inside of the bowl here.
Yeah, the little sort of...
Yeah, the little mound. I tend to work that out with a traditional grind. That's what I tend to use.
Gravy bump, we call them.
Gravy
bump. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can set like a little island in the middle of your gravy.
Yeah.
I'd start with the bevel rubbing in the low point, and just push that bevel forward, and it'll just pick up like a hand plane or an iron. It'll just take out that lump nice and yeah, bevel rub.
Benjamin's asking, have you ever had any incidents on the lathe, Colwin?
I nearly killed myself once. Absolutely. Okay. I saw. The first time it was on a Sunday, and I was in the workshop. I was working with Jason Breach. We were turning together. I was just doing our own thing, and I had two spalted beech hollow forms. Now I'd done the outside. I'd done most of the inside, and I was just refining. And I was on a wood fast lathe, and I had the low range speed because I was doing some big cuts. I wanted to refine, so I, instead of turning the lathe speed down, I went to the belts. I went to high range, and before I even thought about it, I had hit the green button instead of turning the lathe speed down first and hitting the green button. And of course, they went on at ridiculous speed. I realized what I'd done the minute I hit the green button, and luckily I leaned over to hit the red as it exploded. By leaning over, I put my face and chin out the way, and so the bowl hit me on the chest, and it sent me to the floor. I got up, holding my chest with my arm and cradling the other arm. Jason thought I'd broken my arm, and I said, "No, it's my chest. It's my chest." And I pulled my top up, and it was black, instantly black. Took me to the doctor, and the doctor says, "You were lucky you didn't give yourself a heart attack." And I was in my late 20s then, so lucky not to have a heart attack at that point, because he said it hit my chest at such force, I could have done something serious. Now, if I never leant over, that would have literally just taken my chin away, and was at best smacked my teeth in. So horrible. So yeah, really, really careful with that.
Which is also a good point to make about always wearing a face shield.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're in your own workshop.
Yeah.
I know we all do demos, and we all tend to not wear face shields. We wear safety glasses purely so that people can hear us.
Yeah.
But in our own time, I'm always wearing a shield.
Face shield, and dust. That dust respirator. Yeah. Just...
Seth from Brickhouse, who says he's done some production turning work, but he'd like to do more. As someone who has done a lot of production work, do you have any advice for someone wanting to grow their production work?
I do. Don't start. Don't start immediately trying to be the fastest person on the planet, because you won't do it. You'll make far more mistakes trying to be quick than just taking your time, making sure you get the cuts right, making sure that your second piece is matching your first piece, and so on. If you get that right, slowly the speed will come. But trying to be quick is the worst thing that you can do. Just match each piece, get them the same, and then slowly through practice you'll get quicker and quicker and quicker. So yeah, don't rush into it. Don't try and get too quick too soon.
What is it they say? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
I think that's a good one. I've never heard that one. I use that one.
That's a shooter's saying. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Like it.
Unless you're
but
using
it does work. Hey?
Unless you're using an Uzi.
Oh yeah. Then it's just
pull the trigger.
Ruby's suggesting that you CA that crack.
I did from the outside.
Oh, okay.
Let's CA through it. Thank you, Ruby.
Do you know Ruby, Colwin?
I don't think so.
She's
I don't think so.
Professional turner in Canada.
Oh, right.
She's studied with some of the top turners in the world.
Yeah, shoot.
Extremely talented.
Very good friends with Stuart Mortimer.
Really? Right,
Yeah.
Okay. So similar circles, but I don't think our paths have crossed yet.
She was also very good friends with Alan Batty as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Alan. Bless him. Slow and right beat fast and wrong. Isn't that right?
You know Brian Conchi very well at all, Colwin. He used to organise the demos up at Border Woodturners.
Yes. I do know Brian. Yeah. No, he organised my tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I introduced Brian to Woodturning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's well into it, isn't he? He loves it.
Oh, isn't he? Yeah.
Back in the medieval
Goodness
times,
me.
that was.
Because he's well old.
They had slaves peddling the lathe then.
I was supposed to be coming to do another Northern tour this year in September, but because of all the rubbish that's been going on, my America tour took over, and that was supposed to be this year. Now that's been cancelled. It's just all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong.
I still can't believe they've shot Harrogate.
All happened in a sort of like a 24-hour spell, didn't it? Harrogate, so Makers, then Harrogate, then AWGB.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a shame.
Well, hopefully things are going to pick up next year. I got me first booking for next year at Northumbrian Woodturners. So I'm doing that next May. So hopefully they'll keep coming in.
Well, I'd say postponed, not cancelled. That's what we're what we're saying, isn't it? Everything's been just postponed, just been kicked forward a year or two.
Yeah.
The American thing that I'm doing with Nick, that's gone now from this year, and we're just transferring it over to next. Make it bigger, make it better.
Gerard, the French turner who lives in Ireland, have you ever done a Republic tour? And if not, would you think about doing one?
I'd love to do one. I just need the people that say, can you come and do a Republic tour? Yes, absolutely. I've done a lot in Ireland. I've done the seminar a couple of times. I used to travel there to do the national seminar every year until Carpentry Store became Axminster Tools for us over there, and so they're now they're qualified to do it themselves. But lots and lots of years I was doing the IWG. One of the best seminars you can go to if you want fun and a laugh or a crack, as they say. Go to the Irish seminar.
They're all bonkers over there, aren't they?
Fantastic. You'll have
That's the Guinness.
Yeah, well, yeah. You won't want to come back. It's such fun.
How you doing, Steve?
All
what are
right,
you putting on now?
I'm putting on Hampshire Sheen High Gloss. Last coat.
I give the choice, I used to, when we were doing courses at Axminster, I used to give the guys a choice to use out of the Hampshire Sheen, the original, the microcrystalline or the high gloss. They all go high gloss because of that finish.
Yeah. I used to be a friction polish man until I got my hands on a high gloss Hampshire Sheen.
Yeah.
Must admit, it's my favourite finish on balls.
Yeah, it works well.
I've recently discovered the friction polish on small spindle stuff. Quite like it.
Yeah.
The trouble is,
Ruby saying it's a very nice looking ball.
Thank you, Ruby. The trouble is, we can't really when you do a live, you can't really let the wax soak in long enough to show people the nice finish, because obviously it's supposed to sit there in it and soak in a little bit. But I think the longer you leave it, the better the finish you get, don't you?
Go and have a cup of tea almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Dewey Shed's asking, when are you coming to Axminster, Cardiff?
I want to say soon, but it won't be for a while. Demos have restarted in all stores by the staff in those stores. We've got a lot going on, which I'd love to sort of tell you now, but it's a little bit of a surprise that we've got coming. We're doing some collaborations with some big names in machinery names in the turning world, which I'm going to be hosting, launching, and rolling out to all stores, with myself demonstrating, Helen Bailey in the Northern stores,
Lady
and
Helen.
Jason Breach and Lady Helen. So we are all demonstrating particular things that we have coming, both in machinery and finishes and all sorts. We're doing loads of collaborations, mainly with our American friends and American companies. So there's lots of things like that happening. So there will be things coming soon. It's really vague. I don't mean to sound vague, but I'm trying to keep a secret, which I'm rubbish at.
He says after he's told everybody.
Ben's asking, Colwin, can you put in a request for Axminster to build a store in Bury St Edmunds, please?
In Bury St Edmunds, I'll try. Do you know the amount of places that we've been asked to build stores? It's incredible. We'd probably have over a couple of hundred stores by now. I'll put the request in. Absolutely.
We need one in Scotland, Colwin. Definitely need one in Scotland.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. My brother used to live in Edinburgh, and I said, "Please, if I'll manage the store if we build one in either Edinburgh or Glasgow."
Yeah.
But then,
if you will his 508 become extinct then?
Say that again. If
will his 508 become extinct
with the new machinery?
With the new machinery.
No.
Good, because that's what I've got too.
No, it definitely won't.
I only got my 508 in January. I love it.
The first thing you do when you have a lathe like that, I bet you find the biggest bit of wood that you can find, put on it.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I can't get my chuck off.
And I put a spindle on it, put it on the top belt, and wound it up to top speed just to see what it would.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't get my chuck off.
Took it off.
We're trying to buy you time here, Steve.
That's all right. Keep going, boys. Keep going. Doing a grand job. Can't get it off. Can't get it off. It's too tight. Too tight. No spindle lock on the record power lathe. No, I can't get it off. It's too tight. Oh, we'll have to finish it off later. How long are we going? Been going, not too long actually.
9.
Well, it's not as long.
No, not that bad.
I thought it was later than that, to be honest. You'd think they'd put a big ass spanner fitting on the back of the chuck so you can actually smack the chuck.
That was something I was going to say to you, Colwin. Whenever I see you take your chuck off the lathe, does that not hurt your hand?
Steve.
No.
Yes, mate.
It comes off fairly easily.
Yes, Wayne.
Right, open the jaws up.
Yep.
And put a piece of metal or a piece of wood across the jaws to give it a smack, rather than use that C spanner.
Oh, okay. Ookie dookie. I'll give it a wood.
Yeah, I found using the palm of your hand. Because I chopped the side of my fist and it bloody hurts.
Yeah, no, honestly, I won't let that happen for two. If I'm starting to hurt myself, I'll change it. So I tend to make a fist and grab and hit it with the side of my fist rather than the palm of my hand. But yeah, it comes off fairly easily.
That's good.
I'm not saying that to take the mix, Steve, but no,
it's coming off.
It's a fairly loose fit.
It's coming unscrewed from the back of the chuck rather than off the lathe.
Oh yeah, I had that. Well, I didn't have that problem at lunchtime.
There you go. Well done,
there
Wayne.
You go.
Thank you, mate.
Perfect.
Just like that.
Sorry. That was who suggested that? Robbo suggested it. I think there was a couple other people put a suggestion in for that as well.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Seth from Brickhouse suggested that as well. John Corbett. There's quite a few people made that suggestion, Steve.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That'll be my favourite bit of wood now.
We'll be saying to avoid that, Steve, put a thin ring of plastic on the spindle before putting the chuck on.
I've got some rubber. I'll be cutting
I've never had to do that.
I've never had to.
I don't know why it's so tight. I only ever do it. I only just normally nip it up anyway like that.
I don't like
fact,
that idea because they're machined
lunchtime-
pieces. And they
At
should
lunchtime,
meet,
when I was
shouldn't
turning the bowl at lunchtime, it was on a worm screw, and I tried to just screw the piece off the worm screw, and it took the chuck off. I've never had to use a plastic washer.
The reason I don't like those plastic washers is because you're introducing another wobble factor.
Another
aren't you?
face.
Another face, because those two metal pieces are designed to meet flush, to reduce the wobble.
What you can get, I know, if you're worried about accuracy, I know I think Turner's Retreat sell them. I only think, but it's like it's a fiber. It's almost like gasket material.
Fiber washer.
Really accurate. Yeah, you can do that. Or I mean, literally, if you had an old milk carton and just cut a bit of that plastic, it's so thin that the accuracy shouldn't be compromised too much. But I get what you're saying. Absolutely, they're designed to match each other, aren't they?
This is the worst part of Cold
Right,
Wars.
Mike's off. He's got to go.
See you later, Mike. Thanks for coming over, mate.
It's a lovely bowl, Steve.
Thank you, Mike. Mike, we need to get you on there.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike. We've had Ed, we've had Colwin, now we can have you. We've had Robbo as well.
Yeah, Martin.
Martin, yeah.
Who else have we had? There's quite a few people.
So when are you going to have me on as a special guest?
There's a clue in the title, Wayne. Special guest.
Right, guys, I'm going to have to cry off and say goodnight myself.
Okay.
Right, mate.
Pleasure meeting you, Colwin.
And you, Mark. See you
Enjoy
soon, hopefully.
Yep, enjoy your content. Keep going. Well done, Steve. See you later.
See you later, boy. Have a good evening.
Cheers. Thanks.
See you, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Got to do injections. So, see you later.
David Nichols just come in, and Mike has said he would be honoured to come on as a special guest.
There you go, Mike. You need to message. I'll message you, mate, with some dates. We'll be looking at what we got next month, August, September, Mike. If you're available.
Ben Jammon's asking you, Colwin, how much is your staff discount?
How much is my staff discount?
Yeah.
Don't get a staff discount.
Oh. Right. Get this stupid chuck key.
Brent has said, Steve, he's got 3 different makes of chucks, and he only has that problem with the record one.
Yeah, I don't like it. This SC4, this SC3, I don't like it at all. That's this chuck key. It's too... No.
Fiddly.
Yeah, I'm looking to get another chuck, to be honest. Just for the Cold Wars.
Rob CP saying if he was a guest, the live would go on for 9 hours because he's that slow. And John Corbett saying that it'd be nice to have Jason as a guest because he likes his sense of humour.
Jason? Oh, right, okay. Wow. I'll get the... Oh, yeah. Colwin might be able to sweet talk him there, mightn't he? Seems he's friends with him.
Oh, shouldn't be a problem at all.
Spider said he can't believe this. You guys having a great time, and he can only watch adverts break because the missus is making him watch Armageddon on the telly.
Oh, man.
That's terrible.
Right, let's get his foot turned off him.
Stephen Madden's having to go. He sends a nice piece, Steve.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
David Nicholas said, and this is Robert Hodgepodge was going on about jam and cream on scones, but he said, never mind the scones. What do they call an English muffin in England? They call it a muffin, David. That's what they call it.
It's not a very good bit of wood, this. Not a very nice piece at all.
You work with what you've got, Steve.
Sorry?
It might not be a very. I see you work with what you've got.
Yeah.
It might not be a very nice piece of wood, but it's looking nice.
Yeah.
Wood Wizardry by Colin has said he agrees. I think this is about something about chucks. He only has one chuck, and it's a paint change in the jaws.
Yeah, record power. I'm looking at. I don't know what to go for.
Well,
There's so many different.
The thing is with chucks, what I find is that if you buy extra sets of jaw carriers, it's a lot easier. The other thing is that with I use predominantly the Axminster 114, and for 90% of my work I use the C jaws.
Yeah. It's just been. It's like the cold jaws. I've had the cold jaws for ages, but I've never used them because, well, I don't use them a lot because they're on the SC3, and that's just a pain in the backside. The chuck key. But the question I've got is, do I go for a companion chuck, an SC4 companion, or do I go for something totally different?
I'd go for an Axminster.
But my jaws I've got don't fit that though, do they?
No, but you've got to invest and get the Axminster jaws as well. But buy the jaw carriers as well.
I'm keeping out of this one.
Well, see, I've been using Axminster stuff since I started. I mean, I started in '86, and you know, I've used Axminster the products since then. So I'm a bit biased anyway.
I'm invested in it because a lot of the jaws I have a design part to play as well, so I sort of heavily invested in it. I'm in an Axminster bubble all day anyway. Yeah. So you know, I honestly feel that what we do is good, otherwise I wouldn't be sort of doing my job properly.
Well, you wouldn't put your name to it, would
that's
you?
all I use. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Gerard the French Turner said, why are chucks not made to get all jaw carriers from other chucks? You could, Gerard, invest in a Versa chuck. That'll take jaws from Axminster, over, I think. And now the Turn and Post used to sell them. Beaufort Inc., who are a pen supply company, they've actually taken over supplying the Versa chuck now. I think they're based in Edinburgh.
I'm just going to answer one. TJ Turning is getting quite insistent about me answering the jam or cream thing, and I think there's he just wants to know whether I'm Dorset or Devon, I guess, or even Cornish. See, for me, there is no other way than it's always going to be cream first.
You see, the thing is, now they were going to organise. It was an '80s rock festival down Devon, Cornwall way a wee while back, but it couldn't actually go ahead because they couldn't decide if they were going to put jam on first or if they were going to put cream on first.
Very good, very good. If you go to Scotland, of course. The cream it'll be squirty cream on top of the jam.
See, if you go to Scotland, it'll be butter. Forget the jam, forget the cream, it'll be butter.
Once it hits your mouth, it don't matter anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're there. Hallelujah.
Pete from Twisted Trees has said, whatever chuck you go for, Steve, make sure it has a square chuck key. That way you can make a longer one with a bit of mild steel.
Yeah, I want one. What's got the same chuck key as this? What's this? 8mm Allen key or whatever it is?
Oh, right, that's the SC4.
Yeah.
Right, the Axminster chucks are square.
Oh, are they?
So you can actually make a longer chuck key if it's needed.
Right.
Like mine's needed on. I've got the old Axminster Super Chuck on my VB, and obviously doing big work, you need a long chuck key on that.
Yeah. But I've looked at several different types, just don't know what to go for. But to be honest, I looked at another lathe as well, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So no ending conversation in it, really.
Oh, you need to wait just for a little bit with my announcement that's coming in the next few weeks, and
okay.
yes, see what's coming.
Okay. I must admit, I did like the look of the Axminsters because they've got quite a lot of other features that some of the other lathes haven't got. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge. Oh, I don't want that one. That's the one I want. So there we go.
Very nice. Very nice. Good recovery.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a bit soft in places, but a bit of gill cream in there, gold gill cream or embellishing wax, whatever you want to call it. And Hampshire Shane.
Doesn't look like elm though.
What do you reckon it is then?
I'm not that certain. It certainly doesn't look like elm to me.
I bought it from English Woods and it was auctioned off as elm. 4 pieces. But
I almost want to say it's a bit of field maple. You look at the inside, it's got those sort of ripples.
What here?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's wood.
It's lovely. It's lovely. Well done.
Thank you. Let's bring you guys back. Mark's frozen. Look, he's sat there for eternity now.
He probably didn't switch off properly.
No, he's logged out, and that's why it's gone funny.
Yeah, he has logged out, yeah.
Right then, so nice little bowl. Like I say, tonight was about Colwin, really, not about me. So, have you enjoyed yourself, Colwin?
I've had a great time. Really, really interesting time. Normally, I'm demonstrating and answering questions. I don't see them that often, so it's been really fun. I've loved it. I've loved the fact that someone else has been working while I've been able to sit here having a drink and watch.
No, like I said to you the other night, it's all about having a bit of fun. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
So.
No, absolutely. I'm gonna say cheers. Well
Cheers.
done. Great bowl.
Cheers. All the best.
So it's ended up about 200 mil by 50 mil. So it's not a bad size.
Grand.
So you've got
8 inch by 2 inch for those that work in old money.
Old money, yeah. For you Americans. So if there's any questions before we go for Colwin, if you haven't burnt him out already.
I'll just have a scan through as well.
So what you've been doing? So when we was all on lockdown, Colwin, was you doing all your remote demoing and that sort of thing, or?
When we first started in lockdown, it was a massive shock and daunting for everybody. The first thing that ran through my head was, am I going to have a job when this is all over? So I'm very lucky. I've got a guy that I work with, Tom. He's in marketing in our place. And so we said, let's get some content out there. Let's start videoing. I'm stuck in my workshop. The workshop's all set up and ready. So let's start videoing. And so we started on a mobile phone and just putting the content out there. Then I bought a video camera, and then the switches. At the time of lockdown, the switches, I used Blackmagic switches. They were all out of stock because everybody was buying them for the same sort of thing. And so we just started then growing the content on mobile phone, and it was on Instagram TV, which was fine, but it was limited to an hour. So we wanted to go a little bit longer at that time. So then we went to YouTube. And when I was back in Axminster Main Hub at Christmas, so I was working from home up until Christmas. Then we went sort of all in and decorated the studios. We got the other 2 guys back as well, and really went for it. So that was a real baptism of fire. Like for everybody, you know, I'm not an IT guy, but you had to learn quickly.
Yeah.
I also looked for other forms of income, so signed up to Etsy. I started selling on Amazon, Amazon handmade, all that sort of stuff, and just started growing my my cash flow or income. Basically, I'm lucky. I've got 2 sons that have both gone into design, graphic design, and my eldest son is now fully qualified, gone through his university, and he's doing all my drawings, all my books, social media, website, and everything like that. So I've got somebody on hand that I can just say, there you go.
Yeah, that's
do
lucky.
that. And my wife's involved as well. Yeah, so it's been lockdown's been horrible for a lot of people, but it's certainly brought a lot of us closer together, and certainly us as a family has given me the opportunity to work with them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you, like you said about when lockdown hit, you didn't have a job. You mean I personally was out of work for 11 months. So you don't realise how lucky you are until you go down to a minimum wage.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
You pull the belt in. You like exactly the same as you. You try and draw cash from other places.
Yeah.
But I think it makes you appreciate for what you have got. It really does.
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively. Yeah, it's opened the world up as well, hasn't it? You know, when before now we were maybe going to a woodturning club once a month. Or once a fortnight if you're lucky. The fact that we can see turners from all over the world now, not just in our local area, is fantastic. You know, we've made so many more friends through it.
Definitely.
Like I say, it's been hard for a lot of people, but there has been the good points where it's brought us closer together. You know?
And I think it's done a good thing for interaction side, where before lockdown, us, well, especially myself, streaming out there live would have never happened, because I was quite happy doing a video every week. But with being in lockdown and not having nothing to do, when I was asked to do a lunchtime, I was like, I'll give it a go. Mind you, it's cost me a fortune in computer gear and all the stuff to go with it.
Yeah, exactly, Steve, exactly.
I perhaps lost a year's earnings on technical gear.
That's just cables.
yeah. Spaghetti Junction in there now.
I think what a lot of people don't realise when we're sort of taking part in something like this is for someone to stand up there and demonstrate in front of people on a live stream takes a fair size set, you know, to do it.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there ready for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
And that
they used to regularly with me, especially because I've got very slow internet feed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's always the issue, isn't it? Yeah, the first couple of ones I'd done, it was the orientation was everybody had to look by tilting their head because I got the orientation wrong.
Yeah.
It was grainy. You could barely see what was going on. The buffer, it was horrendous.
Audio, no audio, then freezing frames, and
it's
just a vicious circle. Thing is, when you're turning, you don't watch. You sort of getting on with what you got to do, and then people going, "Your camera's froze." Like, oh, for God's sake, unplug it, plug it back in, reboot it. But anyway, a couple of questions there. I think
that's the other good thing about having earworms, because it's happened to Mike before he started using earworms. It happens to me even with using earworms, that you'll forget to change the camera to a different angle. I mean, it happened at lunchtime, my lunchtime live today, that I forgot to change the camera to a different angle. But luckily, Mark's there to remind us on.
Yeah. At Axminster Woodworking Wisdom, we call them crotch cams.
Crotch cams. So you got a couple of questions there, Colwin, if you don't mind answering.
Yeah, let's have a look.
One from Rob CP. Has Colwin ever made a cowboy hat?
Never made a cowboy hat. That scares me. It scares me.
Scares me as well. Plus the thin.
John Colwin, will there ever be any future demos from your home workshop? Those videos were life-saving during the first lockdown. Thanks.
Stay tuned this week.
There you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth.
Or next week, rather.
I think that's it. Was that any more? Oh, one more. It's gone all blurry. I bought the SK114 kit with the C drawers and then the 3-in-1 O'Donnell jaw set. Is there anything else I need to get with that?
Or do you know that's a question that I get asked all the time. What jaw should I get next? It is impossible for me to answer because I don't know what turning you're doing. I wouldn't buy anything until you need it, is the best advice I can give. So you're doing the projects that you love. You know, if you feel a need to get something to complete a project, then you get it. You know, you need it. But getting something now without a need to, you could never use it. You need it might be on the shelf for the rest of your turning life. So wait until you need something.
Yeah, that's nice to have a shelf full of tools, but if you're not going to use them, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've got a set of jaws. I've got a set of jaws up there that I bought just to do a snowman's hat. I've never used them since.
Right, Terry's asking the stay put hose. Can we still get it?
Yep, stay put hoses out there. If I can, I might try and find it for you if that's okay.
Yep.
Whilst I'm talking to you.
I think Terry mentioned this earlier. It's the 100mm stay put hose he's talking about. I think.
It's 100mm. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
If you just put hello in the chat, then I'll moderator. Then you can put a link in, mate.
Donna from Love Angel is here. I don't know how long she's been in, but good evening, Donna. Rob's asking, question please. Is the SK in the name of Axminster Chucks named after Steve K?
Definitely not.
I don't even know what it stands for. Hang on. Copy. Right. So sorry, Steve. Where did you say? What do you want me to put it in the chat?
If you just type hello in the YouTube chat, then I'll moderate you. Then you'll be able to put links in.
Okay.
Right. Andy H for Turning is saying it says the 100mm is not available.
There you go, mate. You should be able to put a link in there now.
Dave Robinson is asking, how long do you keep your lathes before replacing or upgrading to a newer one? That's a very good question, that is.
How long do I, for me, long do I keep my lathes?
I think it's a general question, tell you the truth, Colwin. But
right.
Yeah, for you, how long do you keep your lathe before you upgrade?
Until I'm given another one.
Yeah. For the rest of us,
when we can afford it.
When we can afford it. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a silly answer. Now I will. If so, in Axminster at the school, we'll go for around about 4 to 5 years. And then look to sell them on. So they get hammered a lot. You know, there's courses, usually 4 to 5 days of the week are solid courses, and they can be anything from pen turning to big hollow form turning. So they get a real hammering from people that don't necessarily know what they're doing. So lots of catches and things like that. So 4 to 5 years on those machines. However, if I'm buying a lathe, depending on the quality of that machine, then some of the machines out there are a lifetime's purchase.
Yeah, they'll last forever.
Yeah, and you replace, like all good machinery, you replace wearing parts, bearings, and belts and stuff like that. But everything else should last.
Yeah. The actual structure of the machine should last. It's just the mechanical parts, isn't it?
Yeah. Any wearing parts, like a car.
Nick Castle has said the stay put hose is out of stock. Terry said he bought the pool wood that he had Terry had the pool wood 2840.
Yeah.
Which Axminster sold for a wee while as the super lathe, I believe.
Super lathe, yeah, that's it. Yeah. I had one of those.
I had one of those as well. I had mine for about 25 years. Then I bought the 1628. Which
the 18.
The 406.
406.
It is now. Yeah. Which is my daily lathe.
Yeah, that's what I've got in my workshop, and that's the ones I teach on as well. Yeah, 406s. I may be looking to upgrade with these new lathes that are coming in.
Oh, I can't wait to see what you're bringing in.
Very good. He just keeps rubbing that. He just like dangling that bit of meat in front of him all the time. Really.
He keeps on mentioning American products. Okay.
And I'm not even going to say you're right if you start saying names.
But I've got an
American or Canadian.
Wow.
Oh, American or Canadian. Oh well, here we go.
There we go.
Or possibly Australian or New Zealand.
Right then. No more questions. We'll knock it on the head then. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Grand.
Any more questions? Oh,
Robbo has said he'll never get rid of his Woodturning.
no, I bet.
Yeah, Robbo over in Australia has got a Woodturning with it. I think it is about a 40-foot bed, something like that.
It's a beast. He's turning pens on Sunday morning.
Yeah, with carbide tools. That was a dig. Robbo hates carbide tools and pens.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart.
It's custom built, you reckon? Right. I think that's it then. I think you've questioned them all out, mate.
Good stuff. Well, can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it this evening. So thank you ever so much for the invite.
You're more than welcome. And if you're more than happy to come on another time, then we'll have you back on.
Absolutely. We'll give it a couple of weeks.
We only do it once a month, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Good. All right, guys. Right, we'll knock it on the head. So a massive thank you to Colwin for coming over and joining us tonight. I really do appreciate it. And again, as always, thank you, Wayne, for coming and joining us. And thank you, Mark.
No bother.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And I hope everybody's happy with, obviously, I know when we had Ed on, there was a lot of people saying it's the Ed Oliver show, but that's what the special guest Earworm's all about. It's all about to hear about the special guest Earworm. It's about hearing what they've got coming up, what's going on, where they started from and all those sort of things, and which the guys in the chat tonight have asked some really good questions. So thank you very much for coming over and joining us. So with that, we'll say good night and we'll see you again. So take care, speak to you soon, and bye for now.
Night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.